Hey, everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, where it gets its data, the website Napster, the band Metallica, and people just not necessarily making as much sense as they should about this entire AI thing. How's all that tied together? We're going to get to it in a minute. So there's a lot of interesting discussion around AI generative work, whether it's generating text, whether it's generating images, whether it's generating, whatever. Where does it get its data? Where does it get its data, right? Well, it scrapes the web. It gets it from different places. The public images. There's been some question of is copyrighted stuff in there? How do I protect my image? All that kind of stuff. And there was an interesting group of people out now that are like, we must shut down AI, we must stop it. And then there's another group saying, well, it's not illegal, so it must be okay. And I've never found not illegal to not necessarily equate moral, but we'll let that part go for a second. A long time ago, about 20 years ago or so, there was a website called Napster. And what Napster let you do is you could upload music to it that you'd purchased. Say I purchased a Metallica album. I could take my CD, I could upload it to Napster, and somebody else could download it without having to go buy the CD. Blatant violation of copyright laws. So I posted something the other day because when Napster went down, people were mad. I mean, they were angry, but it was stealing royalties from bands left and right. I mean, there was bands couldn't make a real living with their own music at some point compared to what they could before Napster. So I posted a couple of things about it on one of the social sites, and I want to look at that because it lent itself to some really strange answers. So I said, let's go look at the original post. So I posted this thing that had Lars Ulrich and his dad trying to guess who it was, and Lars was the drummer from Metallica who was kind of behind the lawsuit. And the interesting bit was, everybody, a couple of people got mad, like he's the guy that killed Napster. So I was like, okay, let's dig a little deeper. So, the entire A argument seems to be about copyright. Yes, he killed Napster because of copyrights, and people got upset. People got angry. So here's one person who was like, I like Napster because it let the little guy steal from corporations, whereas I dislike AI because the corporations steal from the little guy. That's it. I don't care about the law. I just hate corporate greed. The other people, yeah, the same person. I think copyright law is a stick, whether wielded by a kid or a behemoth or a man, the stick is the same, but the kid whacking with a stick doesn't do near as much damage as the big guy can. There's the difference. Well, that's not the only person. There's a lot of people. I don't like Lars, therefore, we shouldn't do that. Um, People concerned about AI theft because it will affect the living situation of a lot of people, but corporations don't care, and therefore will move forward no matter what. Metallica and Lars are the corporation in the Napster situation. See how they're still going? The trouble is, it wasn't just Metallica, it was any CD, right? If it had just been Metallica, that's one thing, but it wasn't. It was small bands, big bands, bands who were barely making a living, right? They were all getting ripped off by this thing. Well, this person was like, well, money. Okay, well, let's expand, right? With Napster, the argument was about money. With AI, the argument's about money, right? So Lars was losing money from not selling his album or song. AI uses tons of data. They've made an argument. It's about the algorithm, not the underlying data, which is false. So the percentage of any source contributed is tough. This person goes on to say that I'm in the position that neither is okay, and that kind of makes sense, right? So that works for me. This person was like, well, was he wrong? The music industry is gone. Well, no, it's not. It's still around. And I would say that if Napster was out there, the music industry might be completely gone. He might have killed Napster. Other people didn't take its place, right? Well, okay, but the streaming services did, but the streaming services pay the songwriters. They pay the musicians, and this goes on and on and on with people just getting angrier and angrier about Napster being shut down because it was okay because people were stealing from corporations, but they really weren't because yes, okay, maybe you stole from Sony Records or RCA, but RCA would only pay the artist if they actually sold an album, and what you're doing is destroying album sales. So in effect, yeah, you're directly stealing from the corporation, but the indirect cause is the band doesn't get the royalty check. And now you fast forward to AI, and everybody's like, no, you can't do that either. That's bad, right? So that's corporate greed. Well, the other one was corporate greed. This one's corporate greed, but the underlying mechanism is still copyright law. So copyright law is valid or it's not. And I don't understand how it can be valid in one case, but not valid in another. Yeah, it's just a weird world we live in where people get really angry about Napster. being shut down and not being able to just, give away something somebody else created. But in the other sense, they don't want AI to be able to generate something that's only a fractionally based on something that they may or may not have had any hand in. So that one confuses me, right? That one I'm like, well, how do we sort of put those two things in the same world? One person went on to point out, as people got angrier and angrier, one person went on to point out that, think about it another way. Young Johnny Cash is out there trying to make a living, but Napster is destroying that. So Johnny Cash gives up on his dream of becoming a famous musician, right? That goes away, and he goes and gets a job. Well, Johnny Cash, we now no longer have any Johnny Cash albums to go listen to. Maybe Johnny Cash isn't your thing, but you see the point, right? So my question is, how can we get so mad about Napster because corporate greed, but then so mad about AI in the complete 180-degree other direction because of corporate greed? Is it maybe, just maybe, that we aren't thinking through these things before we try to argue about it, and we like to jump on bandwagons? It's important to think through the argument before we try to sit both sides of a particular topic. Or is it we're just looking for a boogeyman? I really don't know the answer to that, and I don't know why people are saying it's okay in one case but not okay in another. I'm completely confused by that. So if somebody could help me clear that up, I would sure appreciate it. Everybody have a great day.